Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube video. So I did a thing. I didn't buy anything in my wardrobe for 365 days. I've done it. My no buy is complete. I feel so elated about it, and if I'm honest, it's one of the easiest things I've ever done. I'm gonna put a link to a Substack I wrote about everything I've learned from doing my no buy. But what I want to do today is answer your questions about my year-long no buy. I put a question box up on Instagram, and I don't think I've ever had so many questions from people. Some I know, some I don't, so I'm very excited to try and get through as many as I can today. My recommendation would be grab a drink. You can kind of listen to this like a podcast if you want to, and I'm just gonna answer your questions. Okay, so this question came up a lot from several people. What is the first thing you are going to buy when you finish your no buy? I don't know. I think this is what's so interesting. Knowing that I can, I just don't feel this rush. I think doing the no buy has just really slowed my brain down because I've shown myself how to kind of travel through temptation and remind my brain that just because I want something, it doesn't mean I don't have to have it right now. I think it's kind of really understanding how to embrace that very natural desire for instant gratification. And when I've really wanted something, I've told myself, yeah, you can have it, just not right now. So I know that's not really answering the question. I imagine it'll be something like, I've had my eye on this Victorian style like nightgown. That's really speaking to me, but yeah, I'm just not in a rush. So I'll let you know. My Substack will probably be the first to know. So the next question was, do you feel the urge of getting something new? And I think this is kind of in response to the previous question a little bit, which, like I said, what happened by doing a no buy for a whole year was I really got to sit with urges. I got really good at entertaining them, at speaking to them, at building a relationship with them where I could see what was behind an urge. And I had my traffic light system wish list, which I use inside the no buy styling course. I made that as a way to show my brain things that come up that I feel an urgency around, or I have an urge, get to be put on the docket, so to speak. They're there for me to give my brain some time to decide, will I still want that in 6 months? And that's the beauty of a no buy. You give your brain time just to decide, do I want this thing because I want it now? And normally I'm used to pressing like add to cart, or do I need to just sit with it a while and see, will I still like this when it's not trending in 6 months' time? So this question came up a few times. What, if anything, would you do differently? I don't think I would do anything differently. Again, nothing about my no buy challenge has felt like a punishment. Nothing has felt difficult, if I'm really honest. It's taught me a lot about myself, and I think because I've been going through a lot of life changes over the past sort of 12 months, it's only helped me have more clarity, and it acted as kind of a domino for more changes I wanted to make in my life that have actually been incredibly helpful and beneficial. So I don't think I would do anything differently. I've really enjoyed the way I did it. Do you have a sense of how much money you've saved compared to past years of clothes shopping? Well, it's definitely the most amount of money I've ever saved because I just wasn't spending money on clothes. The only things that I could spend money on were things like socks and knickers, or if I broke anything or damaged anything beyond repair, but nothing got damaged beyond repair. And even when my pajama bottoms had a hole in, I still kept those pajama bottoms and just kept on wearing them because they did the job. So yes, I definitely have saved money, but I would also say that I have downsized a lot of things in my life recently for personal reasons that feel really good. And like I said, I think the no buy was kind of like the first domino to fall in that. So if you were to look back over, say, a cross section of like the past 5 years of my life and what I've spent on clothes, without a doubt, the money I would have saved would be a significant amount. Let's just put it that way. I definitely think if I were to compare to previous years, we'd be talking about the thousands. That said, over the past few years, I had been building pieces, and I feel like because I really, for the most part, know my personal style, I feel really good about when I do buy something expensive from the lens of I know I'm gonna wear it a lot, or I plan to wear it a lot. Sambon19 says, did you ever cheat and buy something? No, so this is the amazing thing. Again, I think I brought some pants when I went to England and I mean knickers, not trouser pants. Some knickers when I was in Marks and Spencer's in England, because they're my favorite knickers in the world. If you know, you know, and they were part of my guidelines. That's the other thing that's important when you're making your no-buy, is to make guidelines that feel really good for you. So one thing that was interesting was when I was doing my no-buy, I think it was maybe like, was it 8 months into it? Maybe it was 8 months, 9 months, something like that. And I was getting a little cocky. I was like, and I was thinking to myself, I need to up the ante. So I actually went to see my friend in New York, and I was like, if my no-buy can survive a trip to New York, then we're winning. And sure enough, going to New York, I went into Totem. They recognized me in there because I have spent a lot of money there. And we chatted, I tried things on. It was really fun to add things to my wish list, but without the need of like, I have to buy something. Again, it really just confirmed how much use I have out my wardrobe. And I remember there was a Substack I wrote where there was a piece I tried on from COS that I really, really loved. And I was like, oh, I think this is like a gap. So I put it on my wish list. And I remember sending Dave photos of the trip, and he was like, oh my gosh, that blazer is so beautiful, that sleeveless blazer. Can I buy it you for your Christmas present? So again, gifts were on my no-buy. That was something I was allowed as part of my no-buy. So that's the only thing I brought, but it was it was a gift basically. So let's see what else we have. Did you find yourself doing big buys just before you started, justifying it as a follow-up to the no-buy? No, again, I did a post on Substack of what I did buy before I started. And I think for the most part, everything I brought has been a very successful gap, bar one thing, which was a pair of shoes from Mango that I haven't worn. So it just goes to show, like actually, even when you're buying things before a no-buy, the no-buy will help you realize what you do wear and what you don't wear to stop you buying more of stuff that you're not gonna wear anyway. So there was no big purchases. I think most of it was things that had already been on my wish list for a while as well, that I pulled the trigger on. I was like, okay, let's bring those in, knowing I'm not going to shop for a year. And I think there's about 5 items in total. If I can find that Substack, I'll link it for you below. So next question, have you got sick to death of any of the clothes, shoes that you've worn on repeat? No. This is my favorite thing about the No Buy Challenge. It has made me appreciate what I have in unexplainable ways. Again, I was able to reconnect with my creativity. Whenever I was feeling bored, it just helped me kind of think outside the box and be like, okay, you just need a challenge within a challenge. So sometimes I would give myself a theme to get dressed to. I would think about the pieces that I wore all the time and like, if I was bored, what is it about them that feels boring? And I also think what a no-buy does so brilliantly is it helps you celebrate outfit repeating. So I think a lot of people are like, yeah, outfit repeating is normal. I've come away from this being like, no, I celebrate outfit repeating. I think that's one thing we can all do to get the most wear out of our clothes. And when you have an outfit you love, wear it again and again and again. So I definitely didn't get sick of anything I had in my wardrobe. One of the things we do over on my Substack is twice a month we do a communal like wardrobe playdate where I actually give everyone a theme and a playlist, a mood board to inspire them, to give them some kind of creative constraints to use within their existing wardrobe. And that for me really was the big thing about this challenge, was understanding that the more I can connect with my creativity as a way to problem solve, you'll surprise yourself time and time again with how many incredible outfits you can come up with that you've never thought of before. Like the outfits I've made in the past year are hands down some of my best outfits ever. Like I found new outfit variations and combinations that I don't think I would have explored had I have not had these creative constraints. So next question, have the pieces you would invest in changed since you completed your no-buy? No, I don't think so. I wrote a post on Substack around where I prioritize spend in my wardrobe, and I would still say that's exactly accurate. For me, I generally kind of prioritize my spend on outerwear, shoes, bags, jewelry, accessories. Anything that's white, I am like a child that will always spill tomato sauce on myself. So white t-shirts, I always get like the yellow mark in here, so I choose to buy those from the high street, and I see them as like a consumable that I'll have to update in my wardrobe as soon as they get kind of like too yellowy around the collar. But yeah, pieces I've invested in have served me really well. And by the same token, I also want to make it clear that it's not just the pieces I spent what some people would consider a lot of money on. It's also been the pieces I brought that have maybe been high street, or I've thrifted or found secondhand, where I just knew how to look for good quality fabrics, understand craftsmanship when it comes to clothes, in order to build pieces that work really well for me. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to create a wardrobe that works really hard for you. I'm a very big fan of thrifting, eBay. Yes, pre-love the real and stuff like that, but I also think like your local thrift stores, like, again, start learning how to recognize different fabrics even if they don't have a label on them. So again, someone said, do you think it would have been more difficult if you'd had a wardrobe had been half the size? No, I just think I would have had even more outfit repeating, and maybe so there would have been some variations that were similar in terms of like more similarities. But I also think the great thing about a no buy is it pushes you to do your hair differently, to do your makeup differently. Like, we forget that style and a wardrobe can also include things like makeup and hair. Like, even how you part your hair can totally change the vibe of an outfit. So there's so many things you can do even if you're starting with less clothes. And I also want to say to that as well, when I was in my early 20s, I had double the clothes I have now. I had more clothes than what I have now, and I always felt like I had nothing to wear because I didn't know my personal style. And again, I think this is the other beauty of a no buy. If you struggle to kind of feel some sense of confidence in your wardrobe, or knowing the pieces that make you feel good, which is the most important thing, then a no buy actually gives you that space to solidify that, versus going out and spending loads of money on stuff that you're not going to wear. Okay, so Corinne had a good question. Anything you regret not buying this year? No. Now, I did do a post on my Substack about the Coach, what is it called? The 40 soft carry-all bag. And that was probably my biggest lusty item that has come round again and again on my wish list. And I was like, okay, maybe I meant to buy that one day. But I don't regret not buying it. Again, I think whenever you are not buying something, your natural instinct is to be like, okay, what do I have? What can I use? What else serves a similar purpose? And I think there was a time, again, it makes you so resourceful when you're doing a no buy. Like, I remember the summer realizing, oh man, I wish I'd brought a pair of black shorts. And I talk about this all the time, but I think it's a good example of this. And I had a pair of black jeans that I wasn't wearing. I turned them into the shorts I wanted. It's like, I wear these shorts all the time now. So you will surprise yourself when you have that creative constraint. Let's see. How did you help stop temptation? Any tools that helped? Yes. Everything that's in the no buy styling course. Shameless plug. But I really believe, like, I basically made that course as I was doing no buy to effectively showcase what was keeping me from not buying anything. So again, my traffic light system, the wish list I have in there, that really gave me the space. Obviously, there's a space of your no buy to not have that instant gratification, but there's also a way to really, what the traffic light system does is it helps you identify a reason that you feel really good about for bringing that piece into your wardrobe. So people will say things like, make sure it's a full body yes. But how do you know it's a full body yes if you're just operating from a place of, oh my gosh, I have to have it right now? I can tell myself anything's a full body yes when I want something. So what I did with my traffic light wish list, there's actually questions you have to ask yourself that are in the wish list that will help you decide with data whether it's a green light, a red light, or an orange light, an amber light. Someone asked, could you ever go without buying makeup? Yes. I think the older I get, the more I'm very comfortable in my go-to makeup looks, the same way I am with my wardrobe. Again, I think it's letting go of this idea that we have to look wildly different every single day. Like I said, normalize outfit repeating, normalize having a couple of makeup uniforms that feel really good. Obviously being a makeup artist, like I know how to change things up very quickly without needing a lot of product. But yeah, I totally could go with just the makeup I have now. I think the only problem is with makeup, it goes out of date. So in that sense, I would need to replace it for sanitary reasons and hygiene reasons, but it is, the principle stands. I don't feel like I couldn't go without more makeup. So someone asked, did you go into stores to look and just not buy, or did you avoid doing that? So it's a bit of both. I feel like in some ways, when you're doing a no buy, you are kind of like, I don't need to go in there. And I did find myself being like, okay, I'm going to spend more time in real life with friends. I want to spend more time reading. For me, one of the things I used to do a lot, especially when I was stressed, was scrolling on things like the Real or the New Net Net-a-Porter. Like, I could lose hours looking at stuff I wanted to buy. And for me, a wish list was almost more like a shopping list versus a way to kind of navigate what is a gap in my wardrobe I want to fill, or something that makes the pieces I already have work even harder. So I would say by default, I ended up not going in stores as much, but I did make sure, because of this challenge and me documenting it, that I did things like going on the trip to New York, where I would go into stores. And I also think, again, because that trip, I did it with a friend, there was so much more enjoyment of window shopping and enjoying the memories made with that friend versus it being about the things in the shop. So this question came up a few times. Do you use an outfit generator? I don't. I use the Index app to track the outfits I wore, and because I wanted to collect data on what was I wearing the most. I wanted to be able to see what was working the hardest for me in the wardrobe from the lens of documenting this year challenge. But I think a lot of apps you can do, like an outfit generator, but for me the fun was really challenging myself to do the outfit generating, was, like I said, having a theme or a challenge. There were times when I would shop Dave's closet. There were times when I would be with friends and I'd be like, hey, can I borrow that tonight? And I'll wear that with this. I used pieces in so many ways other than what my brain had initially thought they could be used for. And for me, that was the fun. The fun of this challenge was how much I pushed myself creatively. And I say push, but not in a way that it was difficult or painful, just a wonderful thing, realizing that you can surprise yourself. And like I said, come up with outfits that to this day are some of my favorites. My sister, she asked, has it been more difficult or easier than you thought? Easier. I know some people won't believe me, but I honestly think doing a low buy is harder than a no buy, because a no buy is like, you just don't buy anything. And with that, like I said, even in my no buy styling course, I show you how to make guidelines, not rules, that make it feel fun and exciting for you and bring back this idea of play and creativity in your closet. So for me, it has definitely been easier. I think, again, there was so many times when I was like, I need to do this, I need to do that, to make it harder, because it felt so easy. Another question, did you purge some of your wardrobe edit before you started? I can't remember if I did. I think I'm someone who there's very little that comes out of my wardrobe now, generally speaking. There's definitely the odd thing each year, but usually something, like I said, like a white t-shirt where the collar's gone yellow, or maybe an item that's damaged beyond repair. But yeah, I don't think I really did like a huge purge or anything. Again, during my no buy, ironically, it was actually more during my no buy that I ended up giving away more stuff. So during my no buy, it also kind of helped me highlight what things had I brought from like emotional spending versus, oh, I just really love that item and will cherish it forever, or that piece feels really exciting to me, it's like gonna fill a gap. I could see where I'd brought things because maybe it was trends encouraging me, maybe I'd seen it on someone whose style I admire, and I actually sold quite a few of my bags because I was like, yeah, actually, I keep reaching for this bag. This bag does the job of all these three and I like it more. So I actually ended up getting rid of more things during my no buy versus before. Okay, and then the last question, because this is gonna be a really long video, is could you do another year? And I think the answer is yes. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's times when I've genuinely thought, should I just keep the no buy going? But the reason I started my Substack and the reason I wanted an end date for the no buy is because I do actually think it's important to document what happens after the no buy. I think, like I said, in a world where for some people a no buy is something they associate with restriction and, oh, I'm just gonna go like crazy and buy loads of stuff when my no buy ends, I want to see if what I've learned, and my suspicion is it's already changed the way I think about my wardrobe and shopping in general. I want to be able to document honestly over on my Substack what does happen once I suddenly can buy things. Again, I've talked about this before on Substack, but don't put me on a pedestal. Like, I'm no martyr. Like, I want to share what I've learned, but you just don't know what's going to happen when you suddenly can buy things you want. But if I had to do another year, I think I very easily could, if I'm honest. I feel very happy with my current wardrobe. And again, for that reason, knowing I could, I think maybe it's something I'll do every other year. I kind of definitely think it's something I'm going to come back to because I like how much mental clarity I have when I do it. And for me, I keep saying it, but it is the creativity. It's made me so much more creative with what I have. And I'm wearing the hell out of my clothes, which was my ultimate goal. So on my Substack, I will be documenting what comes next because I think that's important. I think it's important to show what happens after a no-buy, and I will keep talking about it over there. But like I said, the no-buy styling course, if you're interested in doing a no-buy, that will take you from start to finish, and it's gonna help you with when you feel temptation, what to do when you feel spendy. Like, I've thought of every single scenario, not just using my own experience, but kind of really thinking about every different scenario. So whether you have a lot of clothes, hardly any clothes, taking every scenario into consideration so that you can do a no-buy that feels fun and incredibly rewarding for you. So if there's any other questions you have, please put them in the comments below, and would love for you to subscribe. Let me know what else you want to know around my no-buy, and I'll see you soon in the next one.